But the Straw Hats are now closing in on Alabasta, and a whole new dynamic has just been introduced thanks to Bon Clay, aka Mr. 2, and his really unique and interesting power. He has the ability to completely morph his face, his body, his voice to whoever he touches, and he has a memory, so he can, whoever he has touched in the past, he can turn back into. So, you know, he touched Luffy and everybody else of the Straw Hats, and he was showing off to them basically that, you know, he can change, he can do this trick where he can look like them, sound like them, you know, basically be an exact replica, be a carbon copy of them. And you can imagine in a power dynamic that's going on in Alabasta right now with Crocodile and everything like that, if you have somebody that can literally turn into somebody else, you can see how easily a situation could be manipulated by him. He even has a memory of the king of Alabasta. He can turn into the king. So, you know, if he has the ability to do that, it's no wonder, you know, Crocodile wants somebody like him in the Baroque works, because he can very easily manipulate Alabasta's people, you know, acting as the king or whatever else. So I think that's a really interesting dynamic. As the Straw Hats are heading to Alabasta, once they get there, they're not going to know who's who. Do you know what I mean? There could be a fake Zoro and it could be Bon Clay. They're very smart by putting the white bands on each other so they can actually tell who's who without it being, you know, Bon Clay. But even so, I think it could be a very interesting dynamic. Now we've been introduced to this sort of this potential power, but I mean, the dude's insane. Bon Clay, it really made me laugh when he left the ship and it was like this big dramatic thing and he was crying and he was saying how, you know, the friendship isn't about how long you've known each other sort of thing. And the Straw Hats were crying. Luffy, Usopp and Chopper were all crying because they were so entertained by this guy, not knowing that he was Mr. 2. But I don't know, that scene just made me laugh. But yeah, this whole new situation is very interesting. I'm excited to see how it actually plays out in Alabasta. Speaking of, we got to see Crocodile for the first time sort of in action. We got to see him manipulating the situation. You know, these people are in danger from pirates attacking Alabasta, and he came and he saved all of them. He defeated all these pirates easily. He has a really cool design, by the way. I like how he looks like a mob boss sort of thing. But he absolutely destroyed them, no problem at all. And then he rode off into the sunset, and all the citizens are thanking him. And you can tell, like I said, Crocodile's got the citizens, he's got Alabasta in the palm of his hand. He even managed to save all the citizens before the king's men got there to save the situation. The soldiers were sent out by the king of Alabasta, and Crocodile had already dealt with them by then. So, you know, even the king is in the palm of Crocodile's hand at this point. And then you've also got on top of that this Bon Clay manipulation that he can do where he can be a copy of anybody. So it's very easy to see how they have a complete grip on Alabasta right now, how they have managed to sort of take it over in the way that they have in the shadows. The citizens of Alabasta are being manipulated so bad right now by Crocodile. They believe that he's their hero when really he's doing all of this shady shit behind the scenes, trying to take it over, create a country for himself, you know, create a civil war. He is the ultimate villain pretty much in this situation, but everyone deems him as a hero, even the king. So this guy is in such an insane position of power. I can't imagine how that's going to change. You know, he's going to have to just be exposed in the public eye for what he is. But I suppose that's what Vivi's here to do. I don't think Bon Clay ever managed to touch Vivi in this scene. I think that would be pretty bad. If he ever at one point did manage to change it into Vivi, there will be a situation where, you know, Vivi will be telling people one thing, but the copy will be telling them another. And then there'll be this whole thing about it. That could be very interesting. But the possibilities with this Bon Clay and his clone ability are huge in this situation. I think it could lead to a lot of very interesting and tense dynamics in Alabasta. But besides all of that sort of stuff, I just want to say it was another episode where we got to see the crew just hanging out on the boat, and I love that. It's one of my favorite parts of One Piece, as I always say. There was a really funny moment where Luffy and Usopp were trying to catch some more food as they'd run out because Luffy had ate it all. And they're using Karoo as bait, which is just so fucked up but funny at the same time. And also, after what we saw in Drum Kingdom, I'm just so happy to see Chopper with a group of friends that, you know, love him and care for him and stuff like that. And just see him in this sort of nice situation that he's in right now, I just thought that was great. I'm excited to see what he does in Alabasta with, you know, the Straw Hats and what he's capable of doing. But regardless, I'm really excited for Alabasta. The setup for it has been amazing. I feel like there's so much potential for so many different interesting and tense situations. I can't wait to see if Luffy or the Straw Hats encounter Crocodile, what's going to happen there. You know, with Vivi, what's going to happen with her when she eventually gets back? Is she going to be able to convince the people of Crocodile? When she sees her dad, you know, the king, is she going to be able to talk him out of it? You know, there's a lot of interesting potential stuff to happen here. So I'm really, really excited about it. And yeah, let's keep it going.